Welcome to how to serialize multiple and different types of objects in Java. Now, I just learnt this yesterday, and I've written a simple program that can demonstrate exactly how to do this. I looked at a few videos and tutorials online, and it was a bit confusing. Like, they talked about serializing an array of objects, but not like different types of objects all in the same data file, I guess. So I'll show you how to do that today. So before we start programming anything, I'll just outline what sort of data I'm going to save into a file and then retrieve from that file. So data to save. First thing, it's going to be about friends and hobbies and like some data about myself. So let's just say I'm going to save a string with my name and my age as an integer, and then my hobbies, and that will be as an array of hobbies. We'll go through like what classes we'll need in a second as well. And lastly, my friends, which is an array of my friends. Okay, so under my hobbies, there's going to be like hobby objects. So each hobby has a name of hobby. Each hobby has a location, as in like where you do the hobby. So if you're swimming, it might be a swimming pool, for example. And under friends, well, my friend should have a name. And let's say age of friend. And each friend will also have an array of hobbies. Hobbies of friend. And that's an array of hobbies. So for a friend's name, that will be a string. Age will be an integer. And this is your friend's array of hobbies will be the same as your hobby. So each hobby has a name of hobby and a location of hobby. And these will be strings, string, string, string. So that's all the data that we're going to need to save for this program. So let's go over what classes we're going to need for this. We're going to need a friend class to act as a blueprint for creating my friends, and hobby to create different types of hobbies. Be a main class that pretty much creates the data and has all the methods that we need to do stuff, and a save data file which calls main or creates an instance of main and calls the methods within main. So this save data will just be calling main to write to file and load data, calling main to read from file. Okay, I'll post this up in the link as well, just for reference if you need it. Alright, let's get into the programming side now. I'm using Eclipse, but use whatever compiler you want. I'm going to start a new Java project, call it Serialize multiple. That's fine. Okay, first thing, so under source, create a new class and call it friend. Be public class, press finish. Now in order to serialize anything, you always need to import java.io.serializable, and you need to implement the serializable interface. Implement serializable. The reason why you need that is because this is serializing to file, saving to file by serialization, so you're going to need the Java serializable interface. So any classes that you use that will be used in serializing your objects, those classes need to be serializable, and it'll basically tell you with an exception that it throws. If there's something wrong and you forgot to serialize a class, it'll say class not serializable or something exception. Okay, so private string, so my friend has name, or friends, whatever, private int age for friend's age, and my friend will have a private array of hobbies. And we haven't created a hobby class yet, but we'll do that in a second. So let's make the constructor public friend. When I create a friend, I want to create a friend using all these variables. So let's add string name, int age, and hobby array of hobbies. This dot name equals name. This dot age equals age. This dot hobbies equals hobbies. Okay, yeah, don't worry about that yet. Oh, we can just quickly create a hobby class just so it doesn't keep complaining about that. So hobby, save. Because serialization is an advanced topic, I assume that you know how to do, like, make constructors and what they're for and stuff, so I'm not really going to explain that. But if you're not sure, just ask in the comments and I'll explain it for you. Now, in order to load our data later, because we're going to save it to a file and then we're going to load it from that file. So when we deserialize it, which is reading from the file, we're going to print it out to the console. So in order to do that, we're going to need some getters to access these private variables. So let's make those now. Public string get name, return name. Public int get age, return age. And public hobby array get hobbies, return hobbies. So this first getter is going to return a string, the second one's going to return an integer, and the third's going to return an array of hobbies. So that's the friend class done. Let's move on to the hobby class. Same thing as the friends one, you're going to need to make it serializable. So let's just copy that and paste that in there. That implements serializable. Alright, so before we had that, we said that we were going to have, so each hobby would have a name and a location. So previously we did our friends had a name, an age, and a hobby array. So now we're going to do the hobbies, and each hobby has a name and a location. So let's do that. Private string name, private string location. Set up the constructor now, public hobby, and when we create a hobby we want to have its name and its location brought in, and then set those variables to the instance variables. So this dot name equals name, this dot location equals location. That's the constructor, and just same thing, put some getters again to access these variables. Public string get name, return name, public string get location, return location. So that's hobby class done. Next thing you want to do is create a main class where we're going to have all the methods that we can call in order to create our data, save our data, and load our data. And also, because the plan I wrote here also saves my own name and my own integer, my own age, sorry, as an integer, I'm going to include those as well in the main class. So first thing first, I'm going to create an array list of just like random hobbies that I can pull from. So if I want to create a friend, then I'll have to assign some hobbies to them. So we're going to grab those hobbies from a list of hobbies that we've previously created. Okay. Array list, and same thing, we want a list of friends to be able to pull my friends from later. Where am I going to store all my friends? New array list. Okay, and it will complain about that, so just import java.util.ArrayList or java.util.star. I'll just put a comment in there. List of data to draw from. Okay, now I'm going to create the variables for about myself, I guess. Variables about myself sounds pretty lame, but yeah. String my name equals Carleen, because that's my name. And int my age equals 26. Now I'm going to create an array of hobbies to store my own hobbies. And the hobbies that I'm going to store in this array will be drawn from the array list. So this array list isn't anyone's particular hobbies. It's just an array list of all the hobbies that we're going to store for this program. And it could be anything. I don't even need to create friends that like cover all the hobbies. Just could pick one hobby or no hobbies, or yeah, whatever. Okay, and then I'm going to create a new hobby array here. And same thing with friends. I want an array of friends because I don't have any at the moment. New friend. Exciting, right? Let's just say I'm going to add 2 hobbies for mine, and I'm going to have 2 friends. Now, let's that's all the variables we need for this program. Let's set up the methods that we're going to need. So, okay. Methods, method to create data. So when we start running this program, and I haven't made a main method anywhere yet, but I will do that later, it's going to call like create data first so I can create my friends and my hobbies and put in my name and age. Public void create data. I'm going to have another method. It's going to call a method called input hobbies. Input friends, I think. Yeah. Okay, I haven't made these methods yet, so let's do that now. Let's make it private since these methods aren't going to be accessed outside the class. Private void input hobbies. So for when the program runs, before we can do anything like saving and loading, we need to kind of create the data. As you can see, I haven't actually made any hobbies or any friends yet. I've only put in my name and my age, so create some hobbies now. Okay, input hobbies, hobbies.add. So I'm adding to the array list I made up here. New hobby, let's say fishing, and a hobby. In order to create a hobby, we needed a name and a location, as you can see in the constructor. So fishing, and where do you do that? I guess at the sea. Let's add a few more hobbies so it's not so boring. Listening to music. Who doesn't do that? Just stay at home. Hobbies.add new hobby. Cycling. Mountain roads. Let's do cycling on some mountain roads. I don't really cycle on any mountain roads, but dancing. Yeah, I don't do that too, but let's just say I'm gonna have friends that can dance. And let's say the art center, because they're totally professional. I'm gonna make an spell it with RE because I'm not American. Alright, now so I should say method to create all hobbies. Now we're going to make the method to create all friends. So private void create, just say input friends. Okay, now we're going to add, instead of adding to hobbies array list, which is what we did here, we're going to add to the friends array list. Friends.add. Now, it's time to create my friends, so let's try and make them interesting. Whatever, Bob. Yeah, in order to create a new friend, we need a name, an age, and an array of hobbies. So, Bob is going to be 18. We haven't created an array of hobbies for Bob yet, so let's do that up here. Let's call it, have a hobby array of Bob's hobbies. Equals hobbies dot, let's say he likes to do cycling, so remember these are the things we add into the array list. This is at array list index 0, array list index 1, array list index 2, and array list index 3. So say he likes to do cycling, so it's array index 2 of the hobbies array list. Hobbies.get index 2, and let's just say he has only one hobby. Now we can finish off this, put Bob's hobbies in there. That's his hobby array that we needed to create Bob. Okay, and let's make another friend called, okay, let's just make the array of hobbies first. Fred's hobbies equals hobbies dot, no, what does Fred like to do? Let's say he likes to do fishing. And he also likes to dance. Okay. I don't know anyone who likes to do fishing and dancing together. Well, not at the same time, but even just the two hobbies. Okay. And then we add a new friend called Fred. Friends.add new friend Fred. Let's make him a bit older, 36. And Fred's hobbies. Okay, on to actually get this. We're going to start doing this serialization now. So, serialize data. So all this data that we had at the beginning, my name, my age, my hobbies. Each hobby has name and a location, and then my friends, which is an array. And then I have, each friend has a name, an age, and an array of hobbies. So you're kind of saving like an array of an array, including like the primitive types as well, like an integer. And so let's see how this is going to work. Serialized data. Public void save data. Okay. Now, in order to serialize all this stuff, you can actually add each one of these like as an object and write it to the file. But I think it's easier to just create one big massive object and store all of these things in that object. So that's what I'm going to do in this example. I mean, there's other ways of doing this as well. This isn't like the only way, but it's the way that I worked out and I learned. So, and I find it easier for me. So I'm going to create an array list of objects. The reason why I'm using objects is because serialization writes objects through an input stream as a byte stream or something, and then retrieves those objects later when you deserialize it. And then those objects are stored, I guess, how you originally had them, but you got to do a bit of typecasting to make sure that works correctly. Right, let's continue. So ArrayList type of type object, we'll call it data equals new ArrayList of objects. So this ArrayList is the massive object to store all our objects. Okay, let's do the actual serializing just in a second. First of all, you have to say what you're going to put in this big object that we have here. So what we're going to do, data.add my name. So I want to save all these things: my name, age, my hobbies, and my friends. So data.add my name, data.add my age. I don't know why it always does that. Okay, data.add my hobbies, data.add my friends. Okay, get rid of that and that. Okay, we're only saving 4 things, but inside my hobbies, remember we had 2 hobbies of mine, which was, I'd actually forgot to put in my own hobbies. Right, let's do that now. Yeah, up here, when you after you create friends and hobbies, I want to say what hobbies are in my hobbies array, because I haven't actually said which of these hobbies are my hobbies. Forgot about that. So my hobbies index 0. This is an array of size 2, so you can fit just 2 things in it. And we'll say that's going to be hobbies dot listening to music. Hobbies.get1. Hobbies1 equals hobbies.get. Let's say I like cycling as well. 2. And also I forgot to put any friends in my friends array. So what's the point of creating them if I can't add them, right? Friends.get 0. My friends index 1 equals friends.get 1. I'm just adding both my friends in here because if I add more friends and don't add them here, I guess there wasn't really much point to create them in the first place, apart from to just dump them in that array of friends. So, alright, now we can, since we've already said what's in my name, my age, my hobbies, and my friends, just go over that again. So my name is the string here. That's going to get stored in this big object. My age is going to get stored in the big object, and my hobbies array is going to get stored in the object, and my friends array is going to get stored in the object. And in my hobbies array, I have listening to music and cycling, as it says here. And in my friends array, I have my friends, which are these people. And each friend has a name, an age, and their own array of hobbies. Okay, so now we're going to save all that into a single object, and that's what we're doing right here. That's what that's for. Now let's do the actual serialization. Serializing, you always need to do a try and catch block because it could always screw up. And I think the exception is an IO exception. Let's see. Yeah, IO exception. And then we'll just i.print stack trace. Alright, so it's time to write to a file now. If this is quite new to you, maybe look up how to write files. There's a million different ways to write files. You can use a print writer, you can write through text, you can write through an output stream and a file output stream, which is what we're going to use here. So let's create a file output stream. Call it file out equals new file output stream. Let's just call it data.ser. You need a .ser, it means it's a serialized file, and you also need to import that package, IO exception and file output stream packages. And in our file output stream, we're going to be writing objects. So object output stream and call in equals new object output stream, and we're going to put the oh sorry, this should be out. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, out equals file out. So we're doing the writing out at the moment to save. And you also need to import that. Okay. Now let's this part's pretty easy. You just write your whole object straight out through the stream. So out dot write object, write object data. We want to write this big object that we created earlier, and that's all the writing done. So that's the advantage of putting everything into one object, is you can just write it in all at once, as in one line here, rather than having multiple lines of writing out like separately my age, write my name, write. I mean, that works as well, but I think this is neater and cleaner for me. And then you want to close the stream in case there's any like leftover bytes, or so let's close the output stream, and also close the file output stream. File out.close, and let's just print that we've saved it. So serialized data is saved in data.ser. Yep, that's it for saving the data. So that's serializing it. Now if you want to deserialize it, let's create a method for that. Deserialize data, public void load data. We want to create an array list to store the deserialized data. So when it reads the information back in from the file, we're going to save that into an array list of objects, because what you did originally, you saved all these objects into this big object. Now you want to kind of separate that again and get them in the same format that they were when we saved them. So that's what we're going to do here. We'll create an array, just say create array list to store deserialized objects. Array list object, call it deserialized. So this is going to store all our deserialized objects, equals new array list of objects. Now we can straight away do the deserializing with the same sort of try and catch block. IO exception. I.print stack trace. And there's another exception you need for this. It's called like class not found exception. Like it will tell you if you don't put this exception, this catch block for this exception in. So at first I didn't know about that either, but it said, oh, you need to put this, so I just knew you kind of need it there. Okay, it's never thrown. Okay, let's fill out this try block. Now you want to create a file input stream. It's just opposite of the file output stuff. Now you're just reading it back in. So file input stream, file in equals new file input stream, data.ser, same file that we're reading from the file. So at the moment there is no file, data.ser file, but when you save the data, when you run this save method, it will save the data into the project folder, and then later on when you want to load the data, it'll just read from that file that it created by itself. Okay, so file input stream, and then you're gonna have to import that package, and our object input stream in equals new object input stream file in You can actually write this in like one line together, but this just keeps it neater and easier to read for beginners and not so experienced people. Right, and then we're going to use this deserialized array and store all that stuff that's from that file. So deserialized equals in.read object. So remember up here we had out.write object. So now we're doing in.read object. Now it will say something like you cannot convert from object to ArrayList object. So we need to typecast that to an ArrayList of objects. So it knows exactly what type you need. You know, when you save these objects in data.ser, it doesn't actually know like the types of objects you're storing in there. But when you so when it reads it back in, you're gonna have to tell it exactly what type of object or whatever type of, you know, data it is. So right now we've read the data from the data.ser file and stored it into this deserialized array list of objects. That's it for reading in. So in.close, close that object input stream, and then close the file input stream. And you should obviously put return here. Right, and here's the next bit where you're trying to print out all the stuff that you've currently read in from the file. So you need to go through this array list and print out all the stuff that's in there in the same format that you saved it. And you have to cast it as well, so it knows exactly what type of data type it is. Right, so let's create some variables to store each separate object that's currently in the deserialized array list. So string my name, I'm gonna read in my own name again, equals. Now remember we added it in this order, right? My name, my age, my hobbies, my friends. So the first thing in the array list is gonna be my name, and we're gonna store it in a new variable called my name down here. Sorry, I should call this something different so it's not confusing. String retrieved name. So retrieved name is the name that's been retrieved from the file. Okay, cast it to a string because my name's a string. Deserialized.get index 0 was the first thing that was stored in this array list here. And int retrieved age equals int deserialized.get1. That was the second thing that was stored in the data, in the object, sorry. And then you have hobby array, that was the next thing that was stored in there. So we'll call it retrieved hobbies equals hobby array deserialized.get2, and last thing we stored in there was my array of friends. Retrieved friends equals friend array, cast as friend array deserialized.get3. Okay, so I've stored all that stuff back into some variables in this program. Now, up to the last part, let's print all this stuff. So this bit here was to to separate all the objects in the one deserialized object. Separate all the objects in the one deserialized object. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Now print everything to console. In the same format as it was originally. So system.out.print. I'm gonna print them in exactly what I had here. So my name, my age, hobbies, and then friends. So system.print, print line, my name plus retrieved name, system.out.println my age plus retrieved age. What's the next one? Next one is hobbies. Okay, whoops. So it's a hobby array, so we need to go over that, like iterate over that. Int I equals 0, I less than retrieved hobbies dot length I plus plus. Okay, so we're gonna system dot out dot print line hobby. Okay, so let's put a number beside it. Hobby plus I plus colon, and then we're gonna print out the name of each hobby and the location of each hobby, the two variables that are in a hobby object. Plus, so the hobby name, so you want to get, this is a bit long here, retrieved hobbies at position I dot get name. Yep. And then we're going to say where that was as well, so at retrieved hobbies I dot get location. So that's going to print out like hobby 0, which was my first hobby, listening to music. Hobby 0, listening to music at home. That's what it will say. Or maybe we should just take that out so it doesn't look like it's at home. Alright. I'll show you that in a second as well. It will print out like that. So that's printing out my hobbies. Now let's print out my friends. Now my friends also have an array each of hobbies. So we're going to have an array in an array here. Or nested arrays. So retrieved friends, retrieved fiends. Okay, dot length I plus plus system dot out dot print line. Okay, name, okay, friend, say, it will say friend 0 for the first one, and then let's have friend 0 and then have their name plus retrieved friends dot get, so retrieved friends at position I dot get name, and then we can add more to that, plus say aged, and then add the age of the friend onto the end of that line. Dot get age. Yep. And now we're going to print out that friend's hobbies. So we make a new for loop. We start a new line. Int j equals 0. J less than retrieved friends at position I dot get hobbies dot length j plus plus. So that's a little bit long, but you pretty much, this is just saying, oops, I forgot to put int here. So this is this loop is to get all the hobbies, the length of the hobbies array of that particular friend, that's at friend I, at position I, and then you're going to print out those friends' hobbies. So just say hobby friend's hobby plus I, no, it'll be plus j, because now we're listing out their different hobbies. So their hobby at position 0, at position j, plus retrieved, okay, retrieved friends at position I dot get hobbies, and that'll be at position j. Now this is an array, not an array list, so use the square bracket things. Retrieve friends dot get hobbies dot get name of the hobby. Oh yeah, get hobbies is a method, so you need that there. And get name plus at, and now we're gonna have the location of the hobbies as well. Retrieved friends I dot get hobbies j dot get location. Yep. And I think that is it for that. Now I'm just gonna make this a new line so you can read it. Alright. Okay, this is a little bit long and maybe confusing, but I could have separated like the hobbies and the location, but I think it's easier to read in one line once you print it out to console. So that's everything done that we need for main class. Now what we need to do is to create two separate classes we want to run the program in. So the first program is just going to be to save it, and the second one is going to be to load the data. To save the data, we're going to create a new class called save data, and this will have the main method in there so we can run the application. So it's going to create an instance of main equals new main, and then because we're saving back in main here, we need to create data in the program first. So we're going to run create data, so main.create data, and after that, so create data will call input hobbies, it will call input friends, it will create the hobbies first, and it will create the friends. We need to create the hobbies first because our friends have hobbies, so they need to already have the hobbies there. So we create hobbies and create friends, and then because we couldn't add my own hobbies before we created the hobbies, we're going to add my hobbies to my hobbies array, which is over here. So that's what create data will do. So it will create everything we need in the program in order to save it to a file. Okay, the next step is to actually do the saving. So main.save data. And that's all you need for that. Now, in order to load the data, we're going to need a class to do that, and with another main method of its own, because it's a separate program actually, to kind of just do the loading. Main equals new main. And then because we don't need to create the data again or anything, we're just going to be loading the data and printing it to the console, sorry. So we're going to read in from the file, which will be called data.ser, and it'll be saved under here, but you can't see it yet because we haven't made it yet. So load data, just call main.load data, that's it. Now this program should work now. Let's test it. So let's run save data, run as Java application, and the console is here. Serialized data is saved in data.ser. Awesome. Now let's try and before we load it, you can see that it's created that data.ser file by clicking on the project name and then going file refresh, and there it's created here. If you open it, you'll just say blah blah blah, and you can't really read whatever the hell that means. So let's just load the data now. Okay, so we're going to run the load data program. Run as Java application. And there, it's saved, it's read from the file. My name is Colleen, my age is 26, my hobby 0 is listening to music at home, hobby 1 is cycling at mountain roads, and here, remember, that's my hobbies array, and now I'm printing my friends array here. So friend 0 is Bob, age 18, my friend's hobby 0 is cycling at mountain roads, I forgot to put a space there, but it doesn't matter. Friend 1 is Fred, age 36, and my friend's hobby 0 is fishing at the sea, and friend's hobby is dancing at the art center, which is exactly what we had when we created all the data. So I created my name, my age, my hobbies array, which was listening to music in index 1 here, and index 2 was cycling at mountain roads, and my friends were called Bob, and Bob's hobbies was So Bob's hobby is here. There's hobby 2, which is cycling. So Bob's hobby is cycling. And Fred, age 36. Fred had 2 hobbies, hobby 0 and 3. So 0 was fishing and 3 was dancing here. And that's what it says there. So that's it for this tutorial. Hopefully it was helpful for you. And apologize if it was a little bit long, but I thought if I made a slightly more complicated program, then you would get something more out of it if you hadn't done this before, or just didn't know how to serialize like all types of objects together, like not just a single array or array of the same type of object, but arrays of different objects, including just basic strings and integers and things like that. You can do it all at once in the same file, read them in at the same time, just create one big object to hold all your objects, and then when you read that big object back in, you just separate it back into its separate objects. Okay, I'll post this program on GitHub, and I'll put the link in the description, and this file that I wrote as reference, I'll also put that in the description. So if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe. I've just started this channel in programming, and I'm going to be doing more programming videos and video game tutorials. I'm planning to make an RPG tutorial series as well in Unity, so if you're interested in any of that, just hit like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time.